Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Mary McGovern, CEO of New Wave Foods, to discuss the explosive growth of plant-based eating. Mary, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
And Mary, I read an interesting report by Meticulous Research that said the plant-based food market is expected to reach $74.2 billion by 2027. That's not too far off. What do you think the key driving factors are?
There are several key driving factors in plant-based. One is that there's been a flexitarian, a millennial movement. There's been a seismic change in eating expectations, what consumers are looking for, how environmentally driven it is, how sustainably minded it is. There's also culinary push in that direction. There's wonderful culinary leadership in environmentally sensitive menus. So I think that there are just a couple of mega trends that are absolutely coming together, driving the development of the market. And then truthfully, you've got companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible are providing extraordinary options, plant-based options.
And 2021 could be the year of the shrimp. I never thought plant-based would go to shrimp.
Well, New Wave Foods, it is the year of the shrimp, and indeed. And so we're coming in with an absolutely delicious plant-based shrimp. It will be an entree size and it will be available nationwide this year. And we're quickly going to follow with an appetizer size, with breaded, with sauced. So any which way you like to enjoy shrimp, you'll find it available by the end of the year. And it's just an extraordinary product with all the taste, the texture, and the versatility. It can be in any recipe you would have shrimp in.
And it's interesting. I never thought of plant-based moving towards seafood. Does I guess farming shrimp have that much of an environmental impact? What's the push towards this?
Well, there are really two pushes. You know, the first is business in terms of the market opportunities. So of seafood, shrimp is the #1 consumed seafood in the US. So we consume 1.5 billion pounds a year. So it's 4.4 pounds per capita. So from a business standpoint, it's a fantastic opportunity and it's white space. On the supply chain side, the environmental harm done is really horrendous. It's particularly so in the US, 90% of what we consume is imported. And over half of that comes from shrimp farms, primarily in Southeastern Asia. And those shrimp farms are packed and therefore they're using pesticides, they're using antibiotics, they're using so many things that both then are in the shrimp themselves, but they're doing terrible harm to the shoreline and to the environment and to the waterways in those areas. It's fraught with issues.
So let's talk about the New Wave Foods product. I realize you can't give away the secret sauce here, but what on a high level goes into the end result of plant-based shrimp? And as you were mentioning before, the chemicals that go into shrimp farms, how do you get around that when you're creating something out of plant-based?
So what we have a sustainable, and we have trace sustainability on all of our ingredients. And some of our main ingredients, one is seaweed. And the seaweed that we use is actually carbon neutral. So it grows so fast that it is a carbon neutral ingredient. We also have our plant-based protein is mung bean. And so we trace the source and the sustainability of all of our ingredients. So we have none of the impact that the farms would have.
Yeah, and clearly there's some buy-in here. You recently completed a Series A round raising 18 million. What was that experience like during a pandemic, and what are your key objectives here?
So we are so thrilled, proud, and grateful to have raised 18 million during a pandemic. It was exceptionally difficult to go out, to meet with investors, and to have them sample our product, which of course they all needed to do because it's a food product before they would invest. That is a must. So that was a challenging part of the process just in terms of logistics. But investors loved it. They saw the consumer reaction to it. And so in the end, we were able to raise 18 million. The lead investors were NEA and Evolution VCP, terrific, terrific partners. We also have Tyson as a strategic investor who's been with us for a number of years. So with this 18 million now, we can get into the market really aggressively and bring not just shrimp, but branded shrimp. So it's new wave shrimp. We're going to define this market. Truthfully, we're going to own it because we're going to come in with all types of shrimp, strongly branded, and we will come in and own and define this space. And what we are building is a branded food company. So this is a huge development for us to have this funding and be able to hit it so hard as we're about to do.
Yeah, it really is an interesting space. And if you were able to do it through a pandemic, once we get to the other side, you know, you've already, the hard part is behind you if you've already done it through a pandemic.
Yes, yes.
All right, Mary, appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.